Hey everybody, this is Frank the Taper. Once again, coming to you live from the bedroom and the bathroom. Episode 10. And just to give you a little update, we did in the bathroom here today is we second coated the cap. You can see all the gray in there. It's all fresh. And that cross seam there that was left out, well, that's done. And the capping all the way down the hallway there, all the way capping. And we also second coated with a 10-inch knife that bead that we roughed in yesterday, all the way down to the floor and inside, right there, all coated. This is all second coated. See how wide? Everything wide and everything full. All the way down to the floor. Sorry about that. Both sides. See that? See the beads? That's with the 10-inch knife. You rough it in with the 6, this out of the way, and then you coat it with the 10. So that's what the bead looks like. It starts off really thin, it gets wider and wider and wider and fuller. Just like that. That's all the capping, and that's the coated bead. Now, these beads are going to take a couple of days to dry. All right, the beads always take a long time because they hold a lot of mud. You know, that, and then second, the corners. So, it's very realistic to say, now that everything is coated, the next step for me would be putting on the third coat, but the whole thing has got to be dry. Or else you put the wet mud onto the mud that's already drying, and the wet stuff will just pull it off. So especially with the corners. You just have to let things dry up. But while things are drying, that's the mirror on the wall there. Hey. While things are drying up, there's always other things to do. So while I'm letting this bathroom dry, I came in here to the bedroom and started putting on the third coat. So this is what it looks like. This is a third coated seam. This is second coated on top, and this is third coated on the bottom. We pulled it or wiped it really tight. Now on this seam here, a third coated seam, where you see the gray is where the seam took the mud. The lighter areas are where it didn't need so much mud, especially in the middle. You want more mud on the sides than you do in the center because you don't want the seam to crown. You want to make everything as wide as it can be. So when you do this, you take your 10-inch knife, right, and you go outside of this. This is second coated right here, right? You want to go outside the edge. Every coat a little wider than the coat before it. So now you see how the seam is this wide now, and now look how wide it is now. Look at the difference in the width. I went about 1.5 inches outside that edge. Now, for some reason, if it's a bad seam and it's really crowned in the middle and empty, and you got to fill it up again with mud, then this fourth coat would be wider than the one on the bottom, be wider than this. So with every successive coat, you have to go wider than the last one. Now, same thing with the nails, the screws. Right? That's second coated up there, that's second coated up here. And right below, what? It's third coated, right? I went just over the outside edge and I third coated with the 6 straight down. A little wider than what was there, right? So I covered up the existing edge, leveled it out, filled it in where it needed. So same thing with the bottoms here. See that corner? It's second coated on top. And on the bottom, it's a little wider than the top is. Now with the corners, it's very, very important. I don't know if you can see this, but the corner that you wipe last, you leaves a line, right? You see that in close? There's a line on this side, right here. That's a line there. That's empty. That's where the point of the knife was. So when you're third coated or polish on your last coat, whatever, you come down that side and you fill that in. Now when you look on the bottom, this corner here, that line, it's all filled in. So when you paint, it's solid. So you have to make sure when you polish, you wipe the empty side first. Okay, the open side. You fill that in first. You pull it really nice and tight. It fills it up. You hit the edges right here, and then you're good to go. Right now, after this, if all the seams are filled up and level, I will come in with the sander and I will lightly rub it down. So any little pieces that are stuck there, any little cheese, we call it cheese, you might see in the corner or something like this, it all gets sanded off. And then most of the time when a painter comes in, they're so finicky, they'll sand anyway. They just always have sandpaper in their back pocket because they like things just about perfect because they're just putting paint on. So that's the whole thing. So that's third coated here, third coated there. You see, look at the top, right? The top is second coated, but look at the bottom. Look where it's all gray, right? That's where the seam took the mud. That's where that seam needed it to level it out. So when you pull it really tight, wherever the seam needs the mud, it gets it. Wherever it doesn't need it, which is usually in the middle, it doesn't take it. So that's why it looks really weird. It's gray and white, it's light, it's dark. Where you see it dark is where the seam accepted the mud, took the mud because it needed it. And when it's completely dry, you put a straight edge across it, and if it's still really crowned or it's empty, it needs more mud, you fill it up again. You put another coat on. You do what you need to do to get the desired effect, as level as it can be. It's usually high and wide. This corner here is all filled up, right? That's coated. That's third coated. And you see you got a little cheese in the middle here. That just comes right off with the sander. You don't worry about that. This is the part that's important, is right in here. The empty side, filling that in. When you come down to sand it, that goes away. And you're done with that. So you don't have to worry about, I got to get every little thing off. You don't have to do that. Okay, there's ways around that. So we polished or third coated up to this point, right up into the air conditioning unit. So I have to move this whole bed frame to get on the other side, and that'll be in another episode. That'll be episode 11. So now we started the third coat of the seams in the bedroom on the bottoms. And then, tomorrow we'll come in and we'll move the bed and we'll work on it and just continue the process. It's very repetitive. Some people call it boring. They don't like it because it's the same thing all the time. First coat, second coat, third coat, sand. If you need a fourth coat or whatever you need, whatever, but it's traditional 3 coats. That's traditional taping, 3 coats. If a seam is bad, if a corner is bad, you might have to hit it 4 or 5 times to level everything out and to get everything full and wide. So whatever it needs, that's what you do. But the standard is 3 standard coats. And the bottoms here have gotten the 3rd standard coat. And you can see that seam right there. You see all the gray lines? That's where that seam needed more compound. So I fed it. There you go. So with that, we'll tune in next time for episode, I believe it's 11. And we'll continue with going around the room. You're just going around the room in circles. One more coat, the same thing. It's very, very repetitive, which some people drive some people crazy. They find it very boring. But then again, for me, I find it very hard to forget because I've been doing the same thing for 40-something years. So, I don't even think about it. The hands just automatically do it. All right, but you just got to get, some basic principles and a bunch of tricks, and you'll be able to do the same thing. So back in the bathroom here, here's my very cheap scaffold. And with that, God bless everybody. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. Coming to you live from the bedroom and the bathroom.